All right, let's step into the ring. Today, we're talking about the surprising story of boxing. And I promise you, this is about way more than just two people trading punches. We're going to uncover a history that is just so much richer and honestly, a lot stranger than you'd ever expect.
So let me ask you a question straight up. When you hear the word boxing, what pops into your head? Is it a legendary fighter? Maybe a scene from a movie? The bright lights of a huge Vegas match? Well, what if I told you that everything we see today, it's really just the final round of a story that's been thousands of years in the making? Because here's the thing, the real story of boxing is ancient. It is absolutely packed with weird paradoxes, and it's changed in ways that they don't seem to make any sense. So for the next few minutes, let's peel back the layers on this incredible sport together.
All right, first up, an ancient contest. We're talking before there were rings, there were empires. And for our first stop, we have to go way, way back. I'm talking before countries as we know them, before steel, all the way to the dawn of organized civilization. So yeah, boxing. It's one of humanity's oldest sports, with roots that go back over 3,000 years to ancient Egypt and Greece. I mean, just think about that for a second. This isn't some modern invention. It is literally one of our oldest contests. We've got evidence for it in the art and records from the very foundations of Western civilization.
And get this, it wasn't just some disorganized back alley brawl either. Nope. By 688 BC, it was so respected that it became an official Olympic sport in the ancient games. So you've got your sprinters, your wrestlers, and your boxers all competing for that olive wreath, which was, the highest honor you could get back then. Okay, next section. The glove paradox. This is about how one piece of equipment changed everything, but probably not how you'd expect. So let's fast forward a bit from the ancient world and talk about the one thing that just defines modern boxing, the glove. You think it's all about safety, right? To protect the fighters? Well, the real story is way more complicated. So to really get this, just look at this insane comparison. Back in the bare knuckle days, the longest match ever, this was in 1893, went for 110 rounds. It lasted 7 hours and 19 minutes. Can you even imagine? Now, compare that to today. A big championship fight is, 12 rounds max? The whole thing's over in about 47 minutes. So what on earth happened? Well, the big change, the real game changer, was the padded glove. It showed up back in the 18th century. And the idea, on the surface, was super simple. Protect the fighter's hands. I mean, think about it. Punching a human skull with your bare fist, that's a fantastic way to shatter your own knuckles. So adding some padding seems like a totally logical safety measure, right? But did it actually make the sport safer? That is the million-dollar question. And the answer is where we find the great paradox of boxing. Okay, check this out. The quote says it all. A boxing glove actually spreads the force of impact, making fights longer, not necessarily safer. See, the glove isn't really there to protect the person getting hit. It's there to protect the hand of the person doing the punching. By protecting the fist, it lets fighters just wail on an opponent's head with full force over and over without worrying about breaking their own hands. And what does that lead to? Longer fights and way more hits to the head. So the gloves didn't make boxing safer, not really. They just changed the kind of damage being done. Which brings us right up to today. Section 3, Modern Day Extremes. We're going to look at the scale of today's sport in just 3 numbers. And these numbers are absolutely wild. They show you just how extreme this sport has become. First up, the money. We're talking over $600 million. That's the revenue from just one fight, the Mayweather versus Pacquiao fight in 2015. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire economic output of some small countries, all for a single night's event. It's just staggering, and it shows you the kind of global power this sport has. Next, let's talk pure power. 129,161. What is that? Well, that's the score Francis Ngannou got on a machine called a power cube, which measures punching force. Now, the units themselves are kind of arbitrary, but what matters is this. It's the highest score ever recorded. It is literally the hardest punch ever documented. We are talking about the absolute peak of human explosive power. And finally, let's talk endurance. 1,000. That's how many calories a top boxer can burn in a single high-intensity match. That's like running about 10 miles or 16 kilometers. But here's the kicker.
They're doing it while also trying to avoid getting knocked out and trying to knock someone else out. It is just an insane combination of power, speed, and stamina. All right, final round. We've looked at the ancient history, that crazy glove paradox, the extremes of the modern sport, but now let's bring it all home and talk about the legends, the people who really define the sport's legacy.
I mean, you just can't talk about boxing without talking about the legend, Muhammad Ali. He was born Cassius Clay, and his story perfectly captures everything we've been talking about. Think about it. He won an Olympic gold medal, a direct link all the way back to those ancient games, before he even fought as a pro. And then he went on to become, well, one of the most iconic figures in sports history. He didn't just play the sport, he completely transformed it.
So that leaves us with one final big question, doesn't it? We've traced this thing all the way from an ancient ritual to a billion-dollar global business. So what is the true essence of boxing? Is it just a pure test of will? Is it the incredible athletics show? Or is it something else entirely? It's a really fascinating thing to think about. Thanks for watching.